Greetings, greetings, beautiful gods and goddesses. Semantics only. You know you are not the sole creator of this cosmos, this universe, these many worlds, but you do a little bit of co-creating in your own world. And so today, y'all can see I'm still in quarantine, but I'm loving it because it's forcing me to slow down and I'm getting some other stuff done, like being able to record more videos, which is wonderful, and I'm loving it. So I'll be putting quite a bit in the queue. I've tested negative, but I'm self quarantining during this time. I've taken every test and they just can't tell me what's going on. But I know today was one of the uh, first days. Yesterday was okay, where I forced myself to do things and I didn't find myself giving out of gas or having the shortness of breath like I had been. So I'm celebrating. Yes, I am. And we're going to talk today, y'all, about relationship merry-go-rounds. Yeah, let's talk about relationship merry-go-rounds, right? Like what is a relationship merry-go-round? How do we get in them? And how do we get out of them? Now, we'll talk about how we get out of them if we have time. If not, it'll be a second or third video. But this is a popular topic. It's something that I know a lot about. In my healing work, in my shadow work, I've been down through there. Y'all have heard me talk about these things on the channel. And each time I ascend to another level, or I slay another dragon, or I recognize another pattern in my life, whether it goes back to childhood, to earlier relationships, or the relationship I have with myself currently, I like to talk about it because I think it's fresh in my mind, and it's one of the best ways that I can help you who may be watching this channel, is to be very real with you. So the topics that I talk about, oftentimes, not all times, are things that I have experienced in my life. There are also things that I work with my clients on currently. Many of my clients are women, not all of them, but a great deal of majority of them are. And whether I'm doing Reiki treatments, hypnotherapy, working with them as a spiritual mentor, doing some life coaching, or even doing card readings, these are the kinds of topics that persistently come up. So I thought, let's talk about this. And I want to talk about it in a lot of different ways because addictions can disguise themselves, right? We call dysfunctional relationships codependency. Codependent relationships, I don't think is the proper term, but it's one term that we use to sort of quantify what the hell is going on with these repeated failures within a relationship that continues to just keep coming back like a bad habit, or keep coming back like a weed that even though you put mulch on it to try to kill the sunlight from nourishing it, it just continues to grow. Or you could be on a relationship merry-go-round because every time you turn around, you're in a new relationship, or you're doing something with another person. You brought someone else in your life, and it doesn't have anything to do with the relationship with self. The relationship merry-go-round is the relationship that you have with anything in your life that is costing you, and you have isolated it, or it does not involve the relationship with self. Now, all relationships, whether it's so-called twin flame, karmic, soulmate, we're going to talk about those two because we have to give that an evolved definition. But all relationships are really, even though we don't look at them as a relationship with ourselves because we're with someone, it tells us something about ourselves. And these relationships are the best relationships when they're bad and they suck, but when you can look at what the relationships are trying to tell you about yourself, then you can do two things. You can have a relationship. Look at that, y'all. Look, what do y'all expect? I'm up here on this in this room and I can't get my nails done. And anyway, so these relationships, if you can wake up and consciously, really consciously experience the relationship sort of outside of yourself, be a witness to your relationship, then you can see how the relationship is telling you something about yourself, and it's also giving you hands-on experience that appears to be real, even though all experience is about the self, and we're creating this reality. We're bringing these characters in to teach us about ourselves. Even though you may not understand that, just plug it away back there. So when you can experience the relationship on a conscious level, you can step back and you can look at yourself in the relationship, and rather than criticize your partner, you can say, what did I do? What did you do? Because you had to do something, not only because it takes two, but because this experience that your soul is having is all about you. The other people are just mirroring your crap. So if you got issues with them, you have issues with yourself. Okay? But on to the meat of what we want to talk about, which is why the relationship merry-go-round and what does it look like? Well, if you think about a merry-go-round, it goes like this, right? It's just going around. Y'all know that little song at the fair, and they're going up and down, and if you stay on it, it's going to continue to go around. And then if it stops, you get out of that, and you stay on it. If it stops and you get out of that relationship, but you get into another one, you're just going to start that merry-go-round again, right? It's just going to keep going around, and it's never going to stop until you decide to get off. Now, it's a relationship merry-go-round because you're not getting off of it, and you might need to get off of it. And the same things keep happening, but you won't check out. Nor will you put the other person out of your life. Or when you try to, you have difficulty doing that. You're not able to do it. That's what makes it a relationship merry-go-round. It's like the children of Israel. It just keeps going around and around and around. It's like it's never going to end, right? That, by the way, is something a friend told me. So hopefully that doesn't offend anyone. That particular friend might not have been the brightest person in the world. So maybe I should research what that term means before I use it. But I think I understood what it meant. So anyway, usually a relationship merry-go-round can be likened to a cycle. A cycle is something that repeats. And these types of cycles represent patterns that need to be broken so that you can free yourself to live, if not your best life, to live a better life. And the irony is, it's difficult as hell to get off that merry-go-round. And you need to figure out, first of all, what type of merry-go-round you're on. Is it the jumping from one relationship to the next? Or is it the so-called twin flame dynamic where you keep runner chaser? Or is it a so-called karmic relationship where it's clearly toxic, but you're having trouble getting out of it? Like defining for yourself, what kind of relationship merry-go-round am I on? Why am I on this merry-go-round? And you can't get your money back because you already got on the ride, but you can decide not to lose any more money. You can give no more money to the conductor. You get to make that choice, right? So you got to figure out, how do I get to that place? What I want you to understand is relationship merry-go-rounds are addictions. And until we recognize and begin to treat them as an addiction, and we have I use the word addiction over codependency, because when we hear codependency, we think, oh, she's codependent on him, or he's codependent on her. They depend on one another. Some people may actually think that codependency is a good thing, right? But when you hear the word addiction, you're like, oh, hell, what the WTF, right? Wait, this is the card we got, y'all. Rest. That means you need to take a break. So if your ass is on the out with somebody, you need to stay on the out. If you haven't been talking to them and you've been retreating, hold your vibration. Stay in your power. This is not a time to re-engage that situation. In other words, don't get back on the merry-go-round. This is an opportunity for you to sit back and analyze yourself and analyze that person. Because even though that person is an extension of you, by analyzing them, you can really see into what your issues are, and you can really, really begin to fix them. But if you keep pointing the finger, he's cheating on me, he bought somebody else flowers, he won't spend enough time with me, His work is more important than I am. He thinks he knows everything. He's always playing the victim. She's always nagging me. He wants to control me. All of these things that you might be saying. He doesn't help pay the bills. He doesn't take care of his financial responsibilities. He's not taking care of the kids. Whatever it is, if you don't look at that person as an extension of you, you will never, number one, get out of that relationship. Number two, you will never see your shadow aspect and the things that you need to work on. Number four, you will continue, if you do get out, to attract the same type of person into your life. And number four, you're just going to keep, treading water. You want to get traction in life, right? Like you want to be able to not always be barely getting your head above the surface. It's like they say, do you want a job? Do you want to be just over broke? Or do you want a career? Hell, I'm an entrepreneur. I got a career. I got my own thing going on, right? I ain't just over broke. I don't want to be just over broke. But you don't want to be that in your personal life. You don't want to just barely be getting by and be constantly on this roller coaster, because a cycle is like a wheel, right? It's up one day, then it's down the next day. Then you're at the bottom of it, where the chaos is, where the darkness is, which is natural because we live in a world of polarity. But it's the types of ups and downs and the quality of ups and downs that make a difference. So you're coming up the side again. The relationship is starting to get better. Y'all have a few good days. For some of you, it could be a few good weeks. For some of you, it might be a few good months. But then before you know it, you're losing traction again. The communication is off the wall. The person is doing what they used to do. You're feeling like you're hell. Your life is suffering. Your health is taking a hit. And this thing just perpetually keeps going around. And while it's going on, you can't take care of your health. You can't take care of your priorities. You can't focus on your life. And if you go around in that circle too many times, either you're never going to get off, or you're going to die on the Ferris wheel. You're going to capsize, or you're going to fall off the Ferris wheel, or you will never really get to fix the things within yourself that you need to fix to attract someone else. Okay? So we've established that what we're talking about here is a dysfunctional relationship, right? And with this card being underneath, this to me is representing what aspects of that relationship are anchoring you. What aspects of your growth are trying to reach for the sky but are being held back because your feet are so far entrenched in the earth that you can't get up and take flight. Okay, so you're being rooted in this situation, so you have to get to the root of the situation, right? So you've established that you're in a dysfunctional relationship. What does it feel like? What is this addictive quality of the relationship? Things never really change. It has some obsessive qualities. You continue to do things even though they don't feel good. It's like a person who, they call it a crack pipe, I think, right? Or there's people they call taking a hit. I don't know, whatever they call it. I can't talk to you about being a drug addict because I've never been a drug addict. But I can talk to you about relationships. I can talk to you about some other healing. I can talk to you about shadow work, because these are the things I talk about. So forgive my terminology. But let's say the person who is an addict, or if they're an alcoholic, they're drinking alcohol and they are unable to control themselves. Even though the alcohol gives them a hangover in the morning, even though they have difficulty getting into the right frame of mind, they have mental fog, and they find it difficult to get up and get themselves organized for work, or to get the kids together in the morning, or to do whatever they have to do. Maybe it is affecting their liver, and instead of addressing it, they continue to drink, and they put off whatever could be a consequence. They put it out of their mind. They don't think about it. If they're a crack addict, maybe they've lost 40 pounds. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe they are living now with their parents instead of living at home. Maybe they're losing everything, including their friends, because they've been milking them for money and stealing from them, right? It could be that. If it's a relationship, what does it look like? It looks stressful. Maybe you've gotten some STDs from this person. Maybe they have cheated on you multiple times. Maybe you ended up getting abortions because they didn't want your children. Maybe they haven't offered to marry you and you want to get married, and 10 or 15 years have gone by and you're like, damn, my biological clock, of which again, that's a conditioning. You don't have a biological clock, so I want you to get out of that mindset. First, you got to get out of the crazation. You got to get out of the crazy relationship. Then you can worry about dealing with your so-called biological clock. But if you keep trying to force that onto someone, that's never going to manifest. So maybe you are trying to have children and the person is not interested in kids. They keep telling you things like, oh, well, when I'm ready, we'll have a child. Or maybe you want another one and you already have some. And they're like, well, I just don't think we're quite ready. I'd rather wait until I get my career off the ground. That's BS, right? You want the child, they don't, or they want the child, you don't, and maybe you're stringing them along. Remember, you can switch this. It can be reversed. Maybe you're in a situation where the toxicity of the family dynamic, all of the other family members are involved in your relationship between you and your spouse. And because your spouse fails to stand in his or her power or to set boundaries, it creates conflict between the two of you, and it's gotten to reach such proportions that you are no longer happy in that situation. Perhaps you're in a situation where you're supporting your mate, could be a man or a woman, financially. And everything you bring in, they take out of the house. They spend. You're taking care of them. Maybe you're helping them pay the child support that they are not paying, that is their responsibility, to a previous mate, because, I don't know, they don't have to pay it because you're paying it. Maybe you're paying all the bills in the house. Maybe it comes time to save for a house and you're the one that comes up with the down payment. Let's go to the next level. Maybe you're dealing with a control freak, somebody who doesn't validate your reality, who every time you get entangled into an argument with that person tries to turn it around. You end up talking about something that was never the issue in the first place. They take you all the way out to left field. Stage left 90 degrees, or stage left, I don't know, 120 or 30 degrees, and you're like, how did we get here? And they create a conundrum, a psychological conundrum, an emotional conundrum, a physical conundrum, because it stresses you out, or it puts you in a spiritual state of malaise and you cannot rest. Maybe you're in a relationship that is actually physically abusive and someone has put their hands on you. Maybe someone is dominating you sexually and you're in a relationship where the sex is not that great, but you let this person do whatever they want to do, and you constantly find yourself in this repetitive sick cycle. And because you're trying to keep it in and you're not sharing this with anyone, you think that you're the only one that's going through this. And so you continue to endure it, or you think that maybe it's going to get better. And so you continue to endure this. Or maybe you're the one in the relationship who's willing to get help and the other person is not doing anything. And so they're still sapping your life force energy. It's important to see this as an addiction. If you don't see it as an addiction, my mom told me a long time ago, even a rat knows when to jump off of a sinking ship. I remember when she said that, I was like saying to myself, this was a couple decades ago. I was like, damn, that's pretty harsh. And I was like, well, I don't know if I like the way that came out. Wait a second, what you trying to say? This had to do with a job that I refused to leave. It was time for me to go to the next level. I had outgrown that position, but I wanted to stay there. And little by little, the company was closing, and I happened to be a valuable player, and I was one of the people that they were continuing to keep on. But I was doubting whether or not I needed to stay until the end or go and get another position. But even a rat knows when to jump off of a sinking ship means if something's hurting you and you keep going back, who really has the problem? You or the person that's doing the hurting? Obviously both do, but who really could stop the cycle? The person that's doing the hurting is not going to stop the cycle because they are who they are and they're not interested in doing any shadow work. They don't think that they have a problem. They haven't had a hit rock bottom moment that has caused them to go into a space of self-reflection. But you, as the so-called victim, because you, that too is a manner of perspective, you as a so-called victim, you're paying the toll. This is taking the toll on your life, right? You're stressed out. You're broke because you're giving this person your money, or maybe you can't go to work because you don't feel good. You are psychologically and mentally taking the hit for this. And all of your dreams, you should be married to your mission. You can't be married to your mission while you're dealing with relationship merry-go-rounds. You can't focus on your children. If you have children, while your mind is on that crackhead person, or that drug addict person, or that alcoholic person, or that so-called narcissistic person that you might be dealing with, or the abusive individual, or the sex fiend, or whatever it is that you might be dealing with, the type A personality, whatever the label may be, is not important. What is important is what this experience is supposed to teach you. So while you are doing that, your children are not getting the attention they need, which means their lives are falling apart. Even though they may look like they have food, clothing, and shelter, I'm sure you're still doing the basics, but they deserve a lot more. They need a lot more. They're not getting what they need. Your attention, while it should be here, is over there. While it should be here, it's over there, which means you're not putting your best foot forward in any part of your life, because this thing is constantly creating a series of tower moments, and things constantly fall apart, and you are left trying to put them back together because you have an addiction to this person that you need to address. You must address it like it is an addiction. What happens when we try to break an addiction? Is it easy? No. What happens when you try to stop drinking, or you try to stop smoking the weed, whatever it is? Your body calls out for it, right? Your body says, we want it. Where is it? Get it. Do what you have to do. Steal, kill, cheat, whatever you have to do. Get us that stuff, right? So the same thing happens when you try to break up with this person. You go through a withdrawal. If you do not expect to go through a withdrawal in order to recover, then you're going to be caught off guard. And when they text you, when somebody offers you the crack vial, instead of walking away, you're going to keep playing with that. They're going to drag you back in one week. You'll be off the chain the next week. They'll drag you back in the following week. You're going to go back because you don't see this as an addiction. You haven't defined it for the seriousness, or looked at it at the level of intensity that it's disrupting your life and causing more dysfunction. So what happens in the addictive process? They try to withdraw from the drug per se. Let's use the crackhead. Person tries to withdraw from the drug, right? They go through withdrawal symptoms. What happens when the withdrawal symptoms come? Some people say, I can't do this. They go back. They go back to the relationship. Some people say, I need to taper off, right? I need to taper off. So I'll get, instead of maybe getting one vial, I'll do a half a vial for a few weeks. Then I'll do a quarter vial. So instead of going out with this person, maybe I'll just talk to them on the phone. Maybe I'll give them silent treatment. Maybe I'll ghost them for a while. But then if they come back with some roses, I'll say, oh, and they say they're sorry, I'll take them back. Some people go through the entire withdrawal process, through the pain. They come into the light and they recognize they have to change their phone number so the crackhead dealers won't call them anymore. They can no longer have the same set of friends, right? Those people will pull them in when they're vulnerable. They can no longer, what else happens when they decide to go cold turkey? Some people even move. Some people switch jobs. They walk out into the light and they never look back. But what do? That's even more critical. They always recognize that that's a weakness for them, right? So they remember that that's a weakness, and that's the weakness that tore through their life like a tractor trailer or a machete. And so because of that, they make sure they don't tease that situation. They don't go back on a holiday and say, oh, happy holidays. They cut that thing off and they walk off into the sunset. And maybe After some time passes, some yearage or whatever, they get to a point to where maybe they can be around somebody who's having some alcohol, or maybe they can have a mate that can drink and it doesn't cause them to drink, or maybe they can't, because everybody is different. My point is, when you're in a relationship merry-go-round, when you're in a toxic relationship, you have to treat it as such. You have to see the seriousness for it. And then after you try to get away from it, while you're doing it simultaneously, and sometimes after and on into the future, you have to ask yourself, why did I make these choices? How did these things happen to me? What other type of addictive behaviors do I have besides just this? What other ways is this same type of behavior appearing in my life, and what do I do about it? How can I address where this came from? How can I look at this relationship and look at all of the other relationships and see myself through the eyes of these choices that I made? How can I ensure that this doesn't happen again? How can I know how deep I need to go in order to really, really cure myself and elevate to the next level? Because in reality, there are always warning signs. Some of us have to be in the fire in order to get the lesson. We have to burn, we have to experience the pain, and then we have to fight our way out. Others of us just need to look down the street and see the other person's house catching on fire and say, oh God, whatever they did to have their house catch on fire, my house ain't gonna catch on fire, because I'm gonna do this, and this. Other people kind of fall in between. Okay, some people look at a situation and they say, woe is me, I was the victim, this happened to me, oh my gosh, I'm leaving this person, and they end right back again into a situation where they're in another toxic relationship or another drama, because they haven't looked at themselves. Okay, so recognize that part of the healing process, in addition to acknowledging you're in a toxic situation, number one. Number two, separating yourself from the addiction by doing whatever it is that you need to do. Number three, recognizing that there is a withdrawal period and there's a process, and you will feel pain. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. This is not paradise, and we are not angels. I say that all the time. To say, what thing do you let go of that you want and desire, or that you have gotten used to and been programmed to think is in your life, are you going to not have difficulty walking away from when you try to up level in your life? So it's about determining what is more important to you, and what aspect of yourself are you going to serve? Because we can't serve two masters, right? Are you going to serve your higher self, or are you going to serve your lower self? To what degree are you willing to draw boundaries for yourself as well as for that other person, to ensure that you don't find yourself in that same relationship merry-go-round? What didn't you do that you needed to do? What did you do that you weren't serious about implementing? What did you implement that you went back on your word on and didn't fulfill on the mission by continuing to go the distance? So the responsibility is not on the other person, it's on you. You are the creator of your reality. Once you've done that thing and you've gotten away from it, you see the addiction, you've gone through the withdrawal, what do you have to do then? You got to really recognize, why am I doing this? What aspect of myself kept me in that relationship? Do I not realize there's 7 billion people on the planet and there are more fish in the sea? Why have I convinced myself that that's the only person that can make me happy? There's no such thing as the one. To the extent that there's one person for you on this planet, the one is whoever you are with in your life at that time, that is supposed to be giving you that lesson, whether it's karmic, whether it's soulmate, or whether it's twin flame. That's who the one is. You get to define the one, because you're attracting the one into your life. And as long as you keep attracting the karmic, you're going to keep attracting more karmics. As long as you're attracting a certain soulmate quality, and we know all of these fall under soulmate, ultimately, you're going to continue to attract that. The greatest relationship that you need to be after is the relationship with yourself. All right? Twin flame is about union. It's about union of polar opposites. It's about union of what complements you. For some people, it can be another individual. Okay. For others, it is union within yourself, union with God. Okay. This is aspiring to really be your highest and feeling full and complete without needing another person to come into your life and make you feel like a human being or make you feel worthwhile or make you feel good enough. So you are with Tanisha Ali, Butterfly Transformations. If you have not purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, you can get it on Amazon. You can also get it on Barnes & Noble. Please do a review. That is what is most important. Thousands of you have purchased the book. I need you to go and do those 5-star reviews. I have another book that will be coming out hopefully by the end of January that you need to stay tuned for. But this is a wonderful way to take each day of the week or each day of the month and look at something that has a message that reflects some aspect of you. All right, here we have here on this page, discard your poverty mindset. You can have a poverty mindset about a relationship. You have to extrapolate and take things to a higher level. Poverty mindset challenges the reality that life is good, beautiful, and full of abundance. You may be walking around thinking all men are bad. You could be walking around thinking that there are not enough good men. There are a lot of good men. There are a lot of wonderful men out there, but you're not attracting them because you haven't cleaned your closet out yet. Poverty in all its forms is simply a state of mind. That's exactly right as it pertains to relationships as well. It can be a comfortable place to be when we don't really want to get out of our comfort zone of accepting the way we think things just are. In other cases, we may not want to put forth the energy to grow or even look at our negative emotions. That's exactly what we're talking about as it relates to relationships. A poverty mindset keeps us stuck in the same dysfunctional patterns, even when we know these habitual constructs don't serve our highest good. When you are entrenched in a poverty mindset, you play victim. Oh, look at what he did to me. He chased me with a knife. He cheated on me. He doesn't take care of the kids. He never pays the bills. He doesn't listen to me. She lied on me. She tells her friends all of our business. Oh my God, whatever it is. He ate my pizza last night. Whatever it is, you are playing the victim. Nobody did anything to you. No one can let you down without your consent. Everybody say that? No one can let you down without your consent. It's a lesson that you needed to get, and that person is here to deliver. So here we go. You simply aren't willing to look within for the source of your powerlessness. You can know a poverty mindset by its hallmarks: never having enough or being enough, victimhood, limiting beliefs, a lack of self-actualization, and a disconnect from the miracles inherent in the energy of life. When you free yourself up to live authentically and you stop chasing all of the things that society wants you to chase, so that society can continue to define society or religion or conditioning or schools or media, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, everything around you. It doesn't matter who it is, your employer, your friends. Until you decide that you're going to live your life and that you're not going to live the life that everybody else wants you to live, you will be chained to the cross. And you will be crucified day in and day out. And you will not give yourself the justice that you deserve because you will be concerned about what everyone else thinks that you should do instead of listening to your soul. And your soul is in charge of communicating with you through many pathways to help you get to where you're supposed to be. Not where somebody else thinks you need to be, and sometimes not where you think you need to be. Challenge yourself to a more wonderful experience of the miracle of life. Embrace a prosperity mindset and shift to make this your default vibration. It's big. I'm big on prosperity mindset. I teach that as a course on my online school. You can get to that with the description information. If you are in need of spiritual mentoring, if you want to learn how to use tarot cards or oracle cards, I should say, in order to do your shadow work or in order to go deeper, contact me. If you need someone to help you climb out of a hole that you have created and that someone else is ensuring that you stay in, maybe you need to reach out. Here's a question for today. What are 2 things you need to cultivate today to help you shift out of a prosperity mindset. What are 2 things you need to cultivate today to help you shift out of a prosperity mindset? Again, you're with Tanisha Ali. I love you, love you, love you, and I hope that you get something from this video. I hope that you get out of that toxic relationship, that you get out of that relationship merry-go-round. Whatever that karmic situation is that you're in, pay your debt, atone for your responsibility, and walk away.